One major fight is going to decide this map without a shadow of a doubt. There's the headshot. Needs one more.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gods of Boom Spring Challenger Series Season 2. I'm once again Jason Kaplan. Luckily for me, I did not get fired from last week, and I'm still joined by the handsome man to my left-hand side. You're right on the screen is Lethal. Harry, we both woke up at the crack of dawn here, excited to get here. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling great so far. This will be the first cup of, well, not just the new season, but the new series, the spring series. And yeah, it should be good stuff today.
Yeah, just to kind of update you guys on that point specifically, last week we did obviously have the final cup. We did have our team selected to go through now into the main event, the Pro Series coming up in just a few weeks' time. Not going to spoil the dates. I think it's around April 13th, so I kind of spoiled it. Oh well. So we have forZe Unbreakable, Impact Force, Brazucas, and Ind Wolves. I'm sorry if I pronounced the second to last name there a little bit wrong, but we do have our 6 teams ready to go to participate in Dallas, Texas. Going to be exciting. Hopefully we'll be there. We're probably going to be there. We're going to be there. Yeah, but it's going to be great, though, to see how those teams do, obviously, on the big stage, playing in Texas, and more importantly, getting to see some of these teams, like, for instance, Unbreakable, who has not really had a chance to make it through into a live event, really, have a chance to show what they've got.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this team because I've not seen them play at all on stream or anything like that. So in some ways, it could be a good thing for them just due to the fact that we don't know what to expect from them in terms of strategies, their tactics, and just what their movement's like. So I'll be curious to see what they're like. And then we'd have the LATAM team and the SEA teams as well, just because we haven't seen really much from them or anything from them. So for their first event, we'll see what happens.
But on the note of Unbreakable, unfortunately, they did lose already today in the matches, so we won't get to see them in semifinals. We won't get to have them streamed here live on air. But let's actually get a little bit of a look into what has recently happened. There has been some changes into the game, some minor ones with the recent patch that did come through. We have, obviously, the change of people not allowed to play on iPads anymore, so not able to have, I guess, an advantage to be able to see, obviously, a little bit more than other players can. But also the glow changes were changed around a little bit, where they're not as prevalent, they're not as noticeable anymore, so you have to have a much keener eye. I'm sorry, I just took all the notes from you there.
That's all right,
to be able to see the people. But, I mean, the thing is, we're playing at the top level, right? So those glows, I think, don't really matter that much. It's not a big change that's going to affect them, I would assume.
It's not a huge one, but it just helps for the seeing eye, really. With their outlines being a lot dimmer compared to what it was before, it makes it maybe just a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, you have to have a bit more of awareness on the situation at hand, depending on what part of the map on it is. Some slightly darker areas or maybe in terms of angles. When you get those in a good spot and you have got a good angle, maybe with a sniper or anything like that, then it can be a little bit disadvantageous at times, because even though you're in a good in a good spot in terms of having the advantage, it can be given away with those outlines. So in some ways, even though it's a small change, it could be a minor change, but it could affect in some way.
Well, luckily for us, we do get to see 4 matches today on stream. We're going to have 2 semifinals, a third, fourth place match, and a grand final. But the big change from last week to this week is we're not having a North American tournament broadcasted today. The tournament will still be played out, but once every 2 weeks, we'll be heading over to those tournaments to show them. So next week, we'll be showing EU and NA. So unfortunately, if you're a North American viewer out there and you wanted to see your teams play, or you wanted to be one of the players to play on stream, it won't happen until next week. So make sure to play in the next cup. But looking at this cup in particular, like I said, the first one, let's kick things off and look at the brackets so you can see the teams who will be participating today. You see forZe eSports already able to make their way through into the semifinals. Kind of what we expected. Unity, one of the newer teams we've seen make it into the top ends. And then, of course, DustTwo eSports. But for me, we're not seeing a certain team in there. And we already talked about this off air, but why don't you brush us up on what I'm talking about?
That's right. We haven't seen Noble in the top 4, which is a peculiar one. But looking at the bracket, Lazarus and Noble played each other in the first round, and that's going to be a massive game changer for the points. Whoever goes through, these 2 teams are 2 of some of the best teams in Europe. So it's going to be a bit of a surprise there. Lazarus did manage to take that win 2-0, I believe. And we could see a potential rematch from last Cup's final.
And what's kind of unfortunate, though, on that note, though, about Noble, is that this really kind of sets them back now. Because they did play against Lazarus right off the get-go, means now their seedings are going to be more rough as they move in through because they didn't get that many points. So they're going to be in the very low end of the actual seeding where they could potentially meet Lazarus again in the first try or forZe in the first try. So for them in particular, to see them break through now into the top points, the top echelon, and hopefully have a better rest of the season here on these 7 cups. They need to beat one of these top teams now to get through, and they have to do it because they need those points, right? They already didn't qualify for the Winter Pro Series coming up in Texas. It's funny, you say winter and then Texas, it's like completely opposite because Texas doesn't experience winter, but that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate for them, and hopefully they can really come together and rise to the occasion in the next weeks.
Yeah, with Noble, it's going to be a hard ride for the next cups. Like you mentioned before, you've already made that point with the seeding. It's going to be very difficult. They will play a lot harder teams. Yeah. Normally, when you've got like that top 4 seed, you don't really match anyone too difficult in that high tier caliber until maybe like the quarters or semi-finals, depending on what seeding you have in that bracket. But at the same time, if they get it done in the next cup, you know, get a few teams down and dusted and maybe try and get into that top 4, at least it gets into that seeding point a lot better, and then they should have an easier ride going to cups 3 and 4 onwards.
You know, I just realized while you were speaking there, we talk about the top 4 not having difficult opponents. We're talking about how Noble's going to have a tough time now getting through. But what about the other way around, right? What if you're one of those top 4 teams, you're not Lazarus, you're not forZe, and you have to meet up against Noble off the get-go? You could actually lose out right away in the beginning of the bracket and then getting no points throughout, you know, the rest of that tournament. So that's another edge I guess we should look at, because Noble have proved themselves as they picked up a fantastically quick victory just last, 2-3 weeks ago in Katowice.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. It's a bit strange just due to the fact that, you know, they have, you know, they stomped Lazarus, let's be honest. You know, it was absolutely dominating. I was watching just how they were doing in terms of not just casting it, but just from an analytical point of view. And they really were a strong team. You know, they changed their play styles quite a lot in different parts of the game. They really seemed very structured, but it's just weird now how they're losing online against Lazarus now. Maybe there's more of an offline team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously ping will take a factor into it. Take that into account. I mean, I'm looking right now, and we have Dog from Unity at 180 MS. Like that's rough, and then 122 MS for Kotpa. That's a big difference in ping when you're against people who have half, if not a third of the ping you have, especially when it comes to FPS games. So you have to kind of play around that. But lands are definitely where it's going to be at. I'm actually really curious to see what happens in Texas. We talked a little bit earlier on about the patch and the changes. We do have a quick video to show you actually about the glow changes you can see here and how much more difficult it is, I would say, to see the models and to see your enemies. But again, if you're one of those top players, it shouldn't affect you too much, because it is obviously noticeable when you see someone moving versus a stable and a stagnant background that doesn't obviously change positions.
It affects me a lot just due to the fact that after...
Well, you're blind as a bat, what I found out. Actually, the other way, you can see far, but when anything's like this close to you, how many fingers am I holding up?
3.
Okay.
I had to sit back a little bit then. Just
yeah, you
did.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it's just weird because, don't get me wrong, like, you know, there is some players where with the outlines, it's more the fact that due to the glow being a lot dimmer now in comparison to what it was before the patch, normally you can just straight away line of sight and go for them instantly. But it takes an extra maybe half second, but that half second could make a massive impact on how you actually react to certain situations. And that extra half second to lead to different scenarios which you may put yourself in.
True.
And it doesn't really look too good, but we'll have to see if it does make any difference in comparison to before as we go into this first game.
And we also have to keep in mind that if you're one of those players that went from an iPad now over to playing it on a phone, like that can affect you a lot. With the glow changes as well, your eyes, you have to do a lot more work to make sure to see what you need to actually have happen. But we're already kicking things off here. forZe already able to take the initial get-go up to 100 points up against the 60. Remember, it's a first to 1,000 here on King of the Hill.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, I can barely see on an iPad, let alone an iPhone, so I'll have absolutely no chance here. But going into the match now, forZe do have a slight lead over Unity to begin with, but Unity do have that point, sorry, the hill now, so they're doing a good job here. Managed to get 1 down, but Assassin gets 2 of his own, Daily Master trade, so 3 down now, 4 down now for Unity, and they just need to set up, play the waiting game, get that hill back, and wait for the Unity's first move.
And remember, we actually do have like a switch up here in terms of the maps, in terms of what game modes we are playing. In the semifinals last week, we had King of the Hill and then 2 controls. This one, we're going into King of the Hill, TDM, and then control. And we've seen how it can really affect teams and what mode they're more comfortable on. But here we go. We can see this is actually a very close match here. Oh god, math again. Only about a 30-point difference between the two.
No, your maths are right. I know you keep saying how bad it is, but you know, it's all right. Probably about average. No, I wouldn't say it's amazing, but I wouldn't say it's bad anyway.
My math?
Yeah, I'll let you.
Oh, no, it's terrible. I'm not. Come on, you can be honest.
Okay, I'll be honest. It's awful. But anyways, now, forZe with a very comfortable lead here and still got great work on them. But so far, Unity managed to get those angles, managed to get that damage done. But this is the opportunity. But as you can see now, Larson is trying to keep him at bay as much as they can to try and get his damage done before he before he gets taken down. But he's not getting taken down. He's doing a great job staying alive. But that's one of the main things, one of the little things you've got to see. Is the fact that even if you're in a really disadvantageous situation, or maybe in terms of your position, if you just stay alive long enough to help your teammates get a crucial flank from the left side, or maybe just push out in the open just to cause a distraction, it works absolute wonders, especially when you bait and switch in those scenarios.
Yeah, and you can already see some level of strategy actually being picked up by both these teams. More importantly, it's for Unity now, are the ones that have to kind of adapt their style, try to figure out how to get this point back. And it looks like they might be able to. They do have Razor here on point. They do have some backup coming in as well. We still see the kills being traded here left and right, but in the end, it will be control given over to the red side of Unity.
And it's the issue now, you know, sometimes you can go as Wolfpack now and again, depending on the situation, but on this map, it can be a lot about angles as well. You saw Unity there, managed to get that point, but the problem is they were so stuck together at that time, especially in the hill. forZe managed to have so many angles on him, there doesn't really too much they can do. Yeah, sure, they can get the hill nice and easily, but how long for? It doesn't really last too long here, but so far so good. forZe now trying to increase their lead slowly but surely. Still 100 left, but now forZe needs to try and find a way to try and close out this game, because Unity are slowly coming back here.
Yeah, credit to them. I mean, the thing is, last week we saw so many one-sided matches in the grand finals in North America and a lot of the semifinals as well. But it's nice to see that we have a relatively equal match here between these two. 813 up to 770. The point will be turned over in a few moments. We're not really seeing forZe, I guess, be as aggressive here off the back of taking the point. I was expecting them to push up into their spawn, get some early damage in, get some respawns as well for themselves to get healed back up. And frag's gonna give himself a nice little double here to potentially push their way through, but they've lost out on too many people, and I think this is almost gonna do it here, Lethal.
Yeah, they got 4 down near the end then, and all they need to do is hold the angles, bait them to grab the hill, because now Unity, not only are they gonna panic, they're gonna get desperate. As you see, they managed to do so, but look at the kills, very similar. Stats in there went 12 kills, 10 assists as well, contributing to 22 there. Deadly and Hale with 11, and Larson with 8 to finish things off. So they did get quite heavily outslayed.
And there was obviously a big difference, decent difference in terms of points. Like the frags might have been relatively close, but you can see like the kill streaks coming through, really accruing these points over and over again, really netted them like the better pushes. And obviously the maintaining of the actual point there on King of the Hill. But that will be forZe. I mean, let's be honest. We expect them to take the series just based off past results, just based on the fact that they qualified through as the 2nd seed into the event in Texas in just a few weeks. Actually, it's like a month's time. It's like March 13th today, isn't it?
16th? 16th, I think.
Oh my
So
God,
it's under
what
a month
happened to
now.
March? Dear Lord, I thought we were like just into March. We're already halfway through. So just under a month's time, they'll be participating in Texas. And this is a good opportunity for them to not only, you know, iron out some kinks that might be going on within the team, you know, to figure out some strategies, but also to kind of build yourself up going into the next event, right? You know, there's nothing better, obviously, being an ex-pro player, to have like a nice little victory or a nice couple of victories before a big tournament, because it gets you like prepared, right? Mentally gets you in a good place to actually play that match out.
Yeah, in terms of forZe's mental game, you know, online, they're an extremely strong squad. It's quite hard to defeat them in certain circumstances. Offline, they haven't had very good results. They've always gone out first or second round every single time. That I'm not too sure if that's a confidence issue or maybe offline they not feeling too comfortable, but they've got 2 LAN events underneath their belt. So I'm hoping at some stage they can turn that around. Basically stating there 12 eliminations, 10 assists, 7 deaths, plus 5 contributing to 22 kills. Not too bad at all. And with Kafka as well, he's contributed to 17 with 10 deaths. Not the best, but you can see he put a lot of work in on the objective as well.
I do like the assists, though. I think that's a really important stat when it comes to Guns of Boom, because obviously you can 1v1 someone, but having that other player there to be able to assist you in those crucial times to get the 2-on-1s, which is all about like what King of the Hill is about, what TDM's about, Control's about, is taking these fights with that advantage, with having more players than them and obviously hitting your shots. And I feel like in Guns of Boom, compared to some other FPSs, there's not many situations you'll win a 1v3 or a 1v2, just based off of how the game kind of works mechanically. So making sure you're there at the right place at the right time, making sure you have a good amount of assists means the teams are working really well together and they have the same kind of mindset of how to attack a point is a good sign. But they need to win more matches, right? They need to win some maps here, hopefully get themselves through the finals, but they've done a good job. AK-47 United able to get through into the semis, and that's a lot of points under their belt.
They can't complain, really. It's, like we mentioned before, it's going to give them good seeding for the future cups. On top of that, don't really want to face Noble so early. We'll see what happens with that next cup, which should be very interesting. We'll probably see, again, just a lot more upsets. And in terms of the points, that's what's like so good about Guns of Boom in terms of the point system. It doesn't just take into account your KDA, it takes into account your objective, everything into one package to clearly see, because you do get some tiles where, it only classes to KD or other bits and pieces, but with this game, it takes everything into account.
I'm just thinking of the people who always brag, oh yeah, I've got a 6.2 KD. It's like, oh yeah, but how'd you do in the tournament? Well, we lost first round. Yeah, your KD doesn't matter, right? It's all about working together and accomplishing that same goal. And so far, forZe has been one of those teams in Europe. Now, I don't want to say they're the best team in Europe, considering Unbreakable had such a massive lead at the end of the last series that we did have, the Challenger series for Winter. But they're definitely edging their way up here. I think if forZe does beat Lazarus in the finals, I would hands down put them as #1, if not #2.
Yeah, with forZe now, I would say they are definitely in the top 4. They've been very consistent just in terms of EU, but I'm not going to say they're the best team until they prove to me that an offline event, they're comfortable, they're stable, and they can do everything they can in their power to at least progress. Maybe if they had some more consistent players, maybe some top 4s, top 3s going to some of these offline events, but it's been a real struggle. They've been riding a struggle bus for that pretty much. And, now with these two, this is it. But, technically, since they came through as #1 seed from the EU side, they're technically guaranteed top 4, but they haven't won a match offline yet. Yeah,
and that's the kind of unfortunate part. And obviously being offline versus online is such a different beast. I mean, again, you being a pro player, all about, playing at home, playing in the comfort of your own living room or your room, playing whatever you like to wear. Some people like to just chill out, some sweatpants, stuff like that. But when you get to an event,
a man who does that straight away. My joggers, yeah.
I always expect you to be wearing just your boxers.
I do that as well.
Yeah,
depends how comfortable I'm feeling. Depends who's in the house. So.
Depends what the wife says.
Yeah.
But no, obviously playing in a comfortable situation. Your own TV or your own mobile device or your own computer screen, and just being comfortable. And then going to a stage where you have to obviously dress up a little bit more. You have to be more worried about how you're acting. You can't sit there and curse your mother tongue out as much as you possibly can. When you get frustrated, you have to keep some composure. And it obviously affects how you play when you're on the stage and you have an audience and you have some handsome casters there commentating on you.
Yeah, there's definitely...
Which is why we're not going to be there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, competing at IM in my boxes, I don't think. I don't think that's sort of...
Well, the thing is,
I think I'd do. But...
some people like to play with no shoes on. I know some commentators who like to cast with no shoes on.
You wearing shoes? Oh, no.
I am wearing shoes. I've actually been... I like to be comfortable when I cast. I'm not going to go too far into that because I don't know if I can talk about it. Is there blood in the game? There's blood in the game. So okay, so I've actually commentated before in no pants.
Really?
Because it was 40-something degrees in the studio.
Do you know what? Fair play to you for doing that. That's actually quite a big play because, some people would never do that, but, I'm not surprised you did.
Oh, no, we did an event in Russia, and we had 3 of us on an analysis desk. All of us were not wearing pants. By pants, I mean jeans, not underwear. We're all in our underwear and our shirt and jacket because it was so hot in the studio we were in.
I can believe that, to be fair. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest, but...
I never realized how hairy some people's legs are. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the game here. Move on to our second map of Old Factory, going to TDM, so 500 points to give the limit here, but we haven't really seen that happen too often if we think back to last week.
Yeah, that's right. We won't be seeing a slow-paced game here, depending on the circumstances towards the end here. But Unity had a really good start, but forZe coming back a little bit. Managed to get 3 down, managed to get map control now. But Unity are doing a good job trying to make a comeback here. And we saw the weapons before we actually went into this next game. Most of the players do use the Avalanche, do use the Odin. A couple of people were using the Incinerator as well. But there was a couple of players on forZe that does use the Porcupine, which is not too much of a surprise, but it depends how far away you are and how close you are in terms of how you want to use that weapon. But most people do normally go for the Avalanche anyway. But Unity now increasing their lead a little bit more now, and forZe just need to try and find an answer to bring this back, but you know what forZe are like, I'm sure they will.
I'm amazed at how much action's actually been happening here. These teams are just going head-to-head constantly up against each other, where we think about, I think it was Military Warehouse, last week, that people just did not seem to fight each other. They'd always like to sit back and just kind of play the point game. Because right now, if you're Unity, you're up a hell of a lot of points, almost 100 right now. You don't even need to be aggressive. You can literally play defensive, play the angles, and force them to come to you and just maintain this lead for another 3 minutes to close out the map.
Yeah, Old Factory is a lot more aggressive compared to some of the other maps. When you get maps like Skyscrapers or
Atrium.
One other, or Atrium as well, yeah, for control
Sorry,
point,
yeah.
But
That's the warehouse, the other one I was thinking.
No, I know. I know you meant anyway. But there was one other map at the tip of my tongue. It's Skyscrapers and Europe Street. That's the one, because I don't really see much Europe Street. But it's because a lot of the times it's very stalematy. It can be very passive game because it's very hard to flank, and it's more the fact that who can get the upper hand from long range and then get those crucial flanks afterwards. But that's why you don't see Europe Streets that much, and it's a bit off the meta in terms of map picks. But in these best of 3s and best of 5s, we may actually see it at some point, because it's been a very long time in all fairness. And now forZe, as we can see, they've overtaken Unity here. Unity have made a comeback, but forZe just extending the lead just that tiny bit more. And now it's going to be a close one to the end, I think.
Yeah, they just pushed him with 4 players as well, able to claw back this difference that forZe was actually able to accomplish. I don't even know how they turned that around, because they were down by about 100 points, but the kill streaks must have been coming in. Lazarus up to 119 points, Stason up to 134. Stason looking for that elimination, will take down Vrag, and put themselves now 70 points away from closing out at 2-0 here in the first cup.
That's right, and forZe now, they're looking to get a second one on the board. Unity aren't too far behind, but this is what I was talking about before, where a stalemate could happen on this map, but only towards the end when every crucial play matters. But look at this, every member of forZe, 3 of them out of 4, sticking together to get that bait and switch going, but Hale now, a nice rocket from him, and we can see what we can do. They're trying to get around the corner. Looks like they took a couple off guard there, but look at this now. Unity managed to get 3 down, 4 down now. And forZe may need 1, possibly 2 kills just to finish things off, depending on the point system.
24-point difference between the two. You can still Stason trying to look for a snipe shot from long range. Everyone playing so passive, but Unity have to be careful. Time is not on their side. Luckily for them, if they can just pull off, a couple of quick kills here without losing any players, they could easily take this map for themselves and take us on to Europe Square for our 3rd and final map here of our first semifinal. But look, a minute left to go, and you can see how careful forZe are playing. They're realizing we don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to push into them. Play these angles, get the elimination, and let's close out this map.
Yeah, look at this now. You've got 2 players weak from forZe, 2 players weak also from Unity, but one's trying to push in now. It might be a bad play because Fiv already went down, but Larson managed to get the play anyway. And Razor, even though he got the trade, it's looking quite difficult, but thanks to the Incinerator, he managed to get burned and managed to take that win, sadly for them. But very close. It was to be expected to have that stalemate towards the end.
Deadly on 3 kills at the end of that one. I can't complain. I can't judge them too harshly because they won, right? It doesn't matter if you get 0 kills as long as your team wins. I guess that's my reason whenever I play any game, because normally I'm the guy with 0 kills, as I learned today playing against you right before our show. But anyways, that was well done by forZe. They move on into the finals. They'll play against the winner of DustTwo eSports and Lazarus. Kind of expecting Lazarus to win that series, but then again, I didn't expect Unity to put up such a good fight here in the semifinals, so I'm definitely open to being surprised by these teams that we haven't seen in the last week.
Yeah, we could be seeing a rematch between Lazarus as well, depending on how that semi-final goes. Wouldn't surprise me if Lazarus does win, because they've had a very strong showing. I think beating Noble right in the very first round could have, got them a bit pumped, a bit of a morale boost here, and they're a bit motivated to actually try and get this first cup underway and hopefully get that first win on the board, because it's so important and kind of relieves a little bit of that pressure, just knowing that as long as you consistently have that top 4, top 3 placements, then you'll be in for the running to get that LATAM spot.
Yeah, especially if you can win, I'd say 3. If you get first place in 3 out of the 7 cups, I think you're a shoe-in, because that's 300 points for yourself, and we didn't see anyone hit 300. I think Unbreakable might have just barely got there at the nick of time, as they didn't do too well in the final cup of the season. You can see here, Stason and Kafka again, the 2 players standing out for both these 2 teams. 10 eliminations, 6 assists, but Unity for Kafka, 195 points. He definitely stepped up there, but just unfortunate they didn't have what it taked in the end. And again, they had a 100-point lead. I don't understand how they lose that 100-point lead, but it obviously came back to bite them in the rear end.
Just forZe doing forZe things, I suppose. It's quite a
Racing their way
difficult
through
one
to take the victory.
Yeah, pretty much. They want this more than anyone at this stage. I love you, but I hate you sometimes. But yeah, at some stage with forZe, they just want a very good start, and they have done, They've known for being a really good online team. And yeah, sure, you can qualify for every single LAN final, but I really do hope at some point they do make, some kind of impact on actually getting, doing a good job at the offline finals. Because I mentioned before, they always lose the first match or second match, depending on the circumstances. But at least this time round, hopefully they can make some kind of difference. But they just need to practice as much as they can, get every single online cup as serious as possible. But look in the weapons now, as you can see, a lot of people were using the Incinerator, especially on that forZe side, which is completely understandable because the amount of after damage it does once you get shot is absolutely brutal one way or another. And you've got 3 of them using the Avalanche, only Deadly using the Porcupine there. and you see most of the players using the scout just to get a little bit of, not aggression, but a little bit of extra speed to try and get different parts of the map.
Yeah, we didn't see I don't think too many snipes. I'm trying to think in particular. It mostly came down to the grenades and, of course, the shotguns, as it seems to do, especially on an aggressive map like we just saw there. But that will do it. That'll be our first game now done and dusted. forZe are off to the strong start that we expected, and also getting closer to getting a little bit extra pocket change to spend when they do get to Texas. That's actually, yeah, that should be something we
A bit of spending money.
Yeah, I mean, that was it like a couple $100? You get like a couple hundred per person. That's, so they're buying us dinner.
Yeah,
they're buying us dinner. Yes, Coca-Cola and Sprite.
Yeah, and water.
Unless you're old enough, then hard liquor.
I'm not old enough.
Oh, I know you're old enough, Mr. 35 over here to my left.
You would say that, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, we're the same age.
Yeah, well, you say that, but, you know.
I just look younger, more handsome, and generally, you know.
This guy, man. See, this is what I've got to deal with. But then again, you got to deal with me, so I feel sorry.
It's fine. Well, we don't have to deal with each other anymore. You don't have to deal with us, because we are going to head to a short break. When we come back, we're kicking off our second semifinal, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes.
2, 1. The enemy captured. Point A. A captured.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Gods of Boom Spring Challenger Series Season 2. I'm still Jason Kaplan. Luckily for me, he's still lethal, because if he was not here, I would not be able to do this show without him. I was being nice, and you just laugh at me.
A little bit true. Nah, you could do it. You'll be all right.
Yeah, probably could.
Yeah, give you some training wheels.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving into our second game here. It's going to be Lazarus up against DustTwo eSports. Love the name. Classic.
DustTwo eSports?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's reminds you of
tell me you know why.
something.
I know you're a Halo player, but
Yeah.
you know the real
know.
FPSs back then were other games.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's I like it, can't complain. But I know what you're talking about.
Preferably not on consoles. No, I can't judge because you just kicked my butt earlier on with the consoles. So DustTwo eSports up against Lazarus will be our semifinal. Winner will go on to play against forZe in the finals, but before then, the loser has to play up against AK-47 Unity in the third, fourth place match, which obviously determines a little bit different prize money, and of course, points, which are going to be so important, as we saw last week when it came to Europe between the second and third place. So a big match here for DustTwo eSports. Lazarus, if they keep playing like the way we've seen them in the past, then we'll most likely have that rematch like we've had in Cup 7. That's right. And now with DustTwo, this is, their opportunity now to at least try and get top 2. And they can. I don't see why not. You got, I think it's Spleen, Doran, Tau, and Armace. I think that's the lineup. And with these four literally
guys,
on the screen in front of you. I feel like it's trying to
on my screen.
I feel like it's trying to trick you by like trying to remember their names. But if you didn't notice, his eyes were looking down at the screen.
Oh, that's just my hamster wheel spinning.
No, you did a good job. You definitely did a good job. I just want to point out, by the way, Armace did say in chat before we did start, spectate me if you want to see a masterclass.
Oh.
So if he does terribly, I'm just going to rip into him so hard and probably get fired for it. But you know what? That's a big claim to make. And you know what? He's been able to take the point himself here, as you see a couple of back...
Oh, well, as you were saying, Maz gets
love to see
taken down. Oh, you love to see it. Maz was taken down with that rocket quite from long range as well. But the main thing is, he got the kills at the start, managed to get the objective done. But yeah, that was probably the wrong time to be at his point of view. But oh well, it was quite funny.
It's a commentator's curse. Oh, okay, that should not have been Lord Mano missing those shots, as he was going to fall to upside of DustTwo, as they've been able to actually take the point as well here. So 286 to 136. This is a strong start here for the D2 boys.
Yeah, this is very strong. Armace had a triple elimination, managed to take at least 3 of them out, and now there's a chance to actually try and get some angles. But Lazarus managed to come back of their own, managed to get 3 down in favor of Lazarus now, and DustTwo had such a great start, struggling a little bit now, managed to get a couple of eliminations here and there, but we'll have to see what can be done. But Lazarus now managed to get some decent angles, trying to stop them coming out the objective, which they do. But one thing with DustTwo eSports is the fact that a very aggressive team, very momentum based, probably one of the most motivated teams on the circuit. Only problem is, on a map like this where it's so open, it could hinder them a bit.
And we've seen the way to play this map as well on Paradise Island. There's a couple of different strategies of pushing into spawns, like we see after 2 take the point. We haven't had that happen too much yet out of Lazarus. But also, this the way you actually attack into the point when you don't have control of it, coming from those multiple angles, getting the focus fire down to take those targets as quick as possibly out of the equation. Nice little dodge this time out of Armace, as he does get away from the explosives this time. He's actually going to push him aggressively. He doesn't have a lot of HP, so he's trying to reset anyways. Gets up close and personal, and gets an easy shot with the help of Tile there for a nice two kill trade.
Oh, that was lovely play. One of the players on DustTwo saw them actually flank round, have 3 members, and called it. Said there's info coming down, and then I think it was Spleen or Armace flanked all the way onto their spawn, right behind them, and managed to clean up 3 kills. And in those kind of situations, it's very risky, because if there's still one on spawn or coming out of spawn from that death cycle, you can easily get taken down, and it's just a wasted play. But great way of sandwiching that team. And now DustTwo eSports are here to play. Look at this now, 115 point cap, 140 now. And it's not looking too good for Lazarus, but they still have plenty of time on their hands to try and change things up here.
Yeah, all they need to get is a nice streak, which Divine King does get a double elimination. 2 more players trying to come in from that top-hand side or right-hand side, depends on where you're looking. And the eliminations are still going to continue to go the way here of Lazarus as they're trying to claw away at this lead. 100-point difference. That lead is quickly dissipating here as these frags keep coming through.
Yeah, this is what I kind of expect. With Lazarus, they seem a lot more structured in terms of the strategies and what angles to hold. And on a map like this, it's very, very important to decide exactly what you should do on spawn, how you should work up going into the hill. But now Lazarus gone from that 140-point gap to really showing their stuff here and catching up. But the only problem is now, a lot of the Lazarus guys are quite weak, so this could be a time for DustTwo eSports to try and come back here, and they have done. 3 members now, all pushing to the middle site, but Lazarus are not holding anything back. They managed to get the flank around him, managed to bait and switch, pushing 3 of them now, and this is getting really close. And Lazarus with a great comeback and could potentially overtake him at some stage.
I think they almost should here. They've controlled the point. The point's going to continue to tick up. You can see they're still have some good positions as well. Armay's trying to go for a long flank here around to the side, trying to get directly behind. There's a spot at Lord Manu, who's going to eventually take him down with a magic. But he's being shot off from the side here. Excellence is going to miss, I think, the first shot. And it might cost him here. 958 to 902. D2 Esports might be able to take this map here.
Yeah, this could be game now. Managed to take all 4 down for Lazarus. Lazarus, I don't think have not really got an opportunity here, as DustTwo will take this first game. And what a great way to start things out. Doran, 13 kills, 10 assists. Spleen, 11 and 10. Armis, 8 and 12. Great assists from him. He really did so much damage across the board. But on the other side of things, we've got Excellence there on top of the board with a lot of objective, and with those 10 kills and 6 assists on the board as well.
Just saying, I'm writing down Armate's score. 8 kills, 12 assists, and 208 points. 3rd place on his team. So clearly, we should not be watching him. I hope he watches back, and I probably just created a mortal enemy for the rest of my life here. As one day when we meet in Texas, or in actually Sao Paulo, as it was already announced in Brazil, with the Spring Pro Series coming up in June. I think it was said June 8th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. If I looked at the Gods of Boom Twitter, maybe I won't be leaving from there if they do qualify into that one. Maybe I should talk a little bit more nicely about them, because they have been able to beat a team who was playing in Gods of Boom up against Noble, who did lose 4-0, so a little unfortunate for them. But there's also a team who's made it through consistently into the top ranks, the top echelons of Guns of Boom. So they've been able to dethrone them for the first map, but can they do it again? Can they take the second map? Here's my question.
It really does depend on the next map, because there's some maps with Lazarus they're very strong on, and it's quite difficult for DustTwo Esports. If with Paradise Island, I thought it'd be a map Lazarus would probably take, but I'm surprised DustTwo there. But they're here to play from the get-go. Getting that first hill is so important, and can be quite a huge advantage in some sexual retrospect. But looking at this now, Doran 281 points, 13 eliminations, 10 assists, 7 deaths, so +6 with 23 kills contributed. And with Lazarus, you see their Excellence with 206 points. And that's the thing with Excellence as well. Even though he went neutral, he's one of those guys who damage deals very well. Even though he's more of a support player, he does try and play a little bit more aggressive compared to last season.
Let me give you an idea as well. So Excellence had 206 points. And if you look at the other side here for D2, 3rd place was Arm Ace, and he was at 208. So the 3rd place player of the opposing team here for Lazarus was able to do better than the number 1 player from Lazarus' side. That kind of shows how that match did go, even though it was still a really close game. It came down to about 50 points between the two, but that just shows like the subtle differences between the teams where they were just generally playing better on the side of D2.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Guns of Boom as well. When you get one team who does get quite a big lead from the start, don't get me wrong, the opponents do make some slow kind of comeback and kind of neutralize it and catch up in points. But due to the amount of damage they take, that's where you have to try and trade each other out, but more efficiently. And as you can see there with DustTwo Esports, just looking at the weaponry they've been using, most of them using Scouts, which is fair enough. Everyone using the Avalanche, which is not too much of a surprise there. Spleen using the Incinerator, which is why it's probably sitting back now and again just to try and get some damage done across the board there. But then on the other side, you do have a couple of players with Incinerator as well. Again, not too much of a surprise, but with Incinerator as well, with a map like that, it's so open, it kind of makes sense to why they want some of that impact damage after it's been shot, but it seems like it didn't work out too well.
How do you think Old Factory's going to go then? Do you think, since it's more of an aggressive map here, do you think it favors one of these two teams? I would assume it's Lazarus, because they seem to have the better frag potential, but again, Armace, just the way he was able to flank around multiple times against them, seemed to have caught them off guard.
Yeah, with this map, it's quite difficult to comprehend exactly who can win this. It can be back and forth. You know what TDMs can be like, and not just in this title, but any title. But getting that top mid control at the start, once you've managed to get a couple of players down, is so crucial. And it's such a big play as well, because there's some parts of the map where when you're top mid, there's not really too much you can do there unless someone else gets from a certain angle to try and take him down. But that won't be the case. But look at this now. DustTwo Esports, if they win this game, they will be going straight to that final to play forZe. But if Lazarus win this, they will go to a game 3, and we'll have to see what they can do. But so far, even Stevens at this minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I expect a 3rd map, or there is always the potential for it. I didn't expect C2 to come out winning the first map anyways, but they've been able to do just that, and Lazarus now has to fight back if they want to keep their hopes alive. I mean, they beat Noble. They beat the team who won Gods of Boom here in Katowice just a few weeks ago, so it's not like they're a bad team in any way, but they need to really step up here and not let a team like DustTwo just kind of come out of nowhere and be able to dethrone them.
a lot of these teams seem to be very even depending on like what cup it is. You know, in an online environment, you can't really determine exactly who will win. Yeah, sure, fair enough. You may say 55-45 or 60-40 in favor of one of the other teams, but even then, it doesn't really make too much difference. It seems like it doesn't matter what day it is, what time of day or anything like that. Any team can actually take these cups, and it makes it, you know, a lot more exciting, a lot more crucial for all these teams, especially leading up towards the end of that season. But looking at this now, DustTwo eSports straining a little bit behind, but they need to, if they just get a little bit of map control, get that top center, not be too passive in some areas, then it should be okay. But Lazarus doing a great job keeping them at bay, putting the shots in, and then carry on from there.
Hermano's able to push in, get a nice little frag there. Excellence as well, able to take down the spleen. So the lead is starting to grow here. About 40 points difference between the two. Then again, 40 points doesn't seem to matter, as we did see on the last map how quickly that could easily be changed around. Tao trying to play from the high ground, takes down Lord Mono. And just like that, the lead down to about 21 points.
DustTwo eSports is one of those teams where it doesn't even matter if you're 100 points ahead in TDM. They will find a way, they'll claw back one way or another. And so far they have done. But Lazarus now doing a good job trying to keep them back. But if these players are using 2 incinerators again, you're going to see this team maybe play a little bit more passive just to get shots in first before pushing them with an avalanche or rocket or nades or anything like that. And it makes so much of an effect here. But now with DustTwo, they finally got that lead back. But it seems like it could be a little bit more of a stalemate situation, which I feel like would favour Lazarus, depending on if DustTwo eSports, some of their members, actually get that crucial flank round.
Oh, well, speaking of flanks, Mono comes in, gets himself a nice little kill there. Armace able to find the respawn here with one himself. They've lost the lead, down now 20 points after being up by 21. Divine King on low health, just trying to get as much damage as he possibly can before he does get finished off here. You can already see some damage being traded as Doran's going to take a chip. And eventually this is going to be going the way here of Armace in that little bit of a battle. Just look how close it is. You know, it was 10 points, now it's up to 24, sorry. Now 50 points. I swear I could do math. I swear I passed elementary school.
Did you?
Let's not talk about it. But Lazarus is starting to build up the steam, starting to build up the lead here. Maybe they're finished warming up here in this match.
Yeah, it seems that way. Lazarus really extending their lead so well here, and they're making every death count. And even when some of them are so weak, but try and get as much damage as they can from behind here and there. But doesn't look like the case. You saw Divine King earlier was literally, must have been about 500 HP, something like that, and still managed to put in enough to help Lazarus get a distraction round and go round. But we're going to see more of a stalemate.
A lot slower pace than we saw in the last game, because we were about a minute in, and it was like 490 to like 460 or something like that. So a little bit of a slower game between the two, but I think you're seeing them be a little bit more methodical about it. As we're about to hit that minute threshold here with only about a 60-point difference, and that's quickly being turned around on, though, as you see those eliminations coming through. Dorn adds an extra 20 to the board.
51-point gap here. Lazarus want to take this.
Look at that, 51-point gap, and just like that, they took the lead by 2.
See, that's the caster's curse again, especially with this game. It's like you can't, you know, it's very unpredictable in that kind of circumstance. And now DustTwo, 2 points ahead.
We are not going to win the lottery.
No,
we're not going to win the lottery today.
I'm lucky to win anything nowadays, let alone the lottery. But saying that now, Lazarus managed to increase the lead again. They're so close to clean up this game now. Right? Maybe 1-2 kills just to finish things up here. I'm not too sure what DustTwo can do here, apart from getting some damage on the board, get some crucial flanks going, use that Wolfpack bait and switch as much as they can, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they could. But look at this now, DustTwo, all of them are just staying put. But look at this now, there's only 11 seconds left.
They have the lead, they can back away. They can completely run away. They got 2 eliminations, they can just back off, forcing the team to come to them. There's 5 seconds left. As long as they don't die here, I think we're gonna see a 2-0 sweep yet again here. DustTwo, the 2's in the name, the 2's on the board, and they've been able to take the match here, 491 to 482 after being down for the majority of that map, and they've come out strong to now challenge up against forZe in the finals.
I was just laughing because you saw right at the very end, I've never seen a team run back so fast in my life. It was like you had 3 or 4 members, like they were slowly pushing on spawn, and then someone clearly called out, oh look, you know, we're winning, we're 9 points ahead, let's just sit back, we're quite weak, we're quite damaged, there's not really too much we can do here. And they just all fled, like literally every single one of them just went straight back to spawn and go, Yeah, we won't about any of that because Lazarus was so far back anyway. I think they were kind of contemplating they're still just on the other side, but they didn't realise they were so far away that they're actually back on that spawn. But, you know, if I was DustTwo, I probably would have done the same.
Because they were holding their own spawn with the lead too, so they forced them to push up, and Tao got the 2 quick kills. It's funny that you say you never seen like a team run away like that. That's usually like every day for me. Whenever I approach a woman, they immediately just run away and get clear of me, unfortunately. But they do take the victory, most importantly. And Tao, the double kill he got at the end was massive to get them a 2-0 victory. And now we're going to see them in the finals here in our first cup here of the Spring Challenger Series. We'll play up against forZe. And you know what? Armace, I gave him a little bit of slack earlier on. They won. I don't know where he was in standing. Okay, he was number 1. Of course, he's got to rub it in this time, as you probably heard me after the end of the last game. Coming out number 1 for his team, and of course, helping them get the victory and take it through to the grand finals.
Yeah, Armace, great job from him. He proved us wrong a little bit. Well, actually, no, I say he proved you wrong. I didn't say anything. It was your words, not mine.
We're a team.
Yeah,
we're together
okay.
on this.
Oh, okay, I'll take
Taking you with me.
Yeah, you're taking me down with the ship?
Yep.
Oh, cheers, mate. Well, anyways, Armace, 143 points, 9 eliminations. Great job from him, +3. Definitely had some clutch factors here and there. He was actually the guy who managed to get that double with that rocket towards the end to kind of get him that lead and then push
Give him
back.
Like 53 points or something like that with the double that he got.
Something silly like that. And Excellence did a great job himself as well. Top of the scoreboard in both games. And with Excellence, it's a bit of a strange one. He has some maps where he plays really, really well, and then there's some maps he don't. It's kind of like mix and match, really. It's well,
he did top both times at least.
Yeah.
In this match was first place. But again, being first in your team doesn't guarantee victories, as we did see there. They unfortunately did lose. But there's still a fight for third place between them and up against AK-47 Unity. So I'm curious to see how that match will go. I think that is going to be our next match after we do have to break in a moment's time. But you can see how close that match was. 9 points. And those are the hard games to lose. Those are the ones you're like, if I just didn't die that one time, or if I got that one kill that time, it could have been a completely different story.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense as well. I was saying at the start of the game, I realised that Lazarus were sitting back a lot more than usual, and I can see why now. I've had 3 incinerators, just, you know, managed to plough through with that, which kind of makes a bit more sense, and it forced DustTwo to have to flank a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive in some areas, which is perfectly understandable. When they've got that kind of weaponry, it's very difficult to approach, but I'm surprised they used 3 on a map like Old Factory, but not used 3 on a more open map like Paradise Island. Or it could just be me. Maybe, you know, these guys are more experienced than me.
Yeah, I generally never question pros. I just let them like do their thing.
I'll let them crack on.
But, you know, no, you've been a pro player, so you know what? You're right. They're wrong. And we're going to have to head to a short break here. When we come back, we'll be kicking off our third place match here in just a moment's time.
The enemy captured point A.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns of Boom Spring Challenger Series. I'm Jason Kappa, not a break screen, but he is a break screen, and also known as Lethal, as we get underway with our 3rd and 4th place match. Lazarus is a name I didn't expect to be saying going into this match, but we sure as hell have to say it because they're up against AK-47 Unity in a 3rd, 4th place match decider. It's only the first cup, so I don't want to judge them too harshly. But come on, boys. Come on. You're going to Texas. I expect you to be number 1, number 2. Number 1 mostly.
Yeah, not too much of a surprise. It's a bit weird, you know. Great seeing Unity in the top 4. Don't get me wrong, they couldn't get top 3 here, but Lazarus, they're going to want that 3rd place. They know, I think they learned from the mistakes in the past from the Winter Series that, you know, every point matters, and you saw from there it was so crucial. So they're going to, both these teams, they'll go want this more than anything. And now with Unity, you know, this is going to be the first top 4. They're going to want to try and get some more points on the board. Don't get me wrong, there's some teams which have a really great start. They get to that top 4, no problem. But then they fall off a little bit in some of the cups. So a 3rd place for them, for Unity, probably means a lot more for them compared to Lazarus.
And yeah, I mean, Lazarus, this is a team we expect to get top 4 every week in and week out. But forZe up against DustTwo. That will be our final match of today, but we'll have 2 best of 5s to close out this day here. The maps we have is Farming Complex, Military Warehouse, Wild West Saloon, Skyscraper, and Atrium, 2 TDMs, and 2 controls with 1 Koth mixed in here. We haven't had any controls so far today because our best of 3s have only gone 2 maps each. This will be the first time we see it, and potentially twice.
Yeah, it's bit of a coolie one, but you know, it's how these game types are set out, so nothing we can do about that. But you know, King and Hill are some of the faster game types, so we'll probably see a lot more slower pace stuff, especially around those control ones. But depends on the maps. Did you say one of the maps is Wild West Saloon?
I did.
And there's another one Atrium?
I did.
Oh, okay, so we saw from there, last time we saw Lazarus play Atrium, it didn't go too well. You know, Noble, you know, hammered him quite hard, but with Saloon, it is one of the better ones. Everyone knows with Lazarus that they'll just ban that game type straight away, but in this kind of retrospect, you know, it's the best of 5, it's the game types are set there, set in stone, nothing you can do about it. Tough, Unity, you're going to have to deal with it. If they beat him on it, then it's going to be a bit of a weird one, but I do know they do have some other better game types as well.
Hey, if you want to be the best team in the world, or at least the best team in the region here in Europe, you got to be able to play every map and every map type as well. As we do kick things off, kicking off on Farming Complex with some control action here. Lethal, Lazarus on the blue side, AK-47 on the red.
And we're going to see if Unity are the real deal here. We saw they had a quite close start with forZe. I don't feel like it was a 2-0. The games were much closer than they should have been, but it doesn't matter anyway. We'll have to see how they do against Lazarus now. But excellence straight away with that double elimination there. And the whole team, the entire team of Unity taken down there. And now Lazarus on a fantastic start.
That is an amazing lead with only, a little bit of time being played on the board here. 170 points going to be approaching just now. It just seems to not be stopping. As finally, a couple of kills will come in for AK-47, but dear Lord, this is not looking good.
No, not good at all. Unity can make a come back here.
Okay, he's back. I thought he was a little bit disconnected there as he wasn't moving.
Oh, you thought he went a bit AFK and just thought, I'll give him a bit of a chance.
Yeah. he did eventually die, so hopefully he's doing all right here because they have a great lead. Look at that, 100 points. About to hit 200 as well. This is kind of what we saw, though, out of the finals. I think that was actually with Impact up against forZe, where Impact just absolutely demolished forZe on the 3rd map. When we were on Atrium, it wasn't even close. Like, it was literally the most one-sided match we've ever seen. It was like 1,200 to like 500 points. Yeah. Like 600, maybe 7. I'll be generous and say 700. But the lead that they did have has quickly been dissipated, though, as it's been shut down to about 50.
Yeah, going back to the other game, yeah, it's extremely rare to see two high-tier teams of that caliber manage to create such a huge deficit. It can happen again, but looking at it now, as you can see, Lazarus managed to take another 3 members down, getting a 4th one down there towards the end. So that's the entire team down of Unity, and they need to decide exactly what they're going to do on the spawn, but there's no mucking around there. Lazarus managed to get 2 straight away, 3 down now for Lazarus, and it looks like now Lazarus are going to walk away just that little bit more, but you saw there Rag trying to get the rocket off, trying to get a little bit more impact on that. Managed to do so anyway, get a 2nd one on the board, and Unity should be able to catch up just a little bit in terms of the scoreboard.
Should be, but that scoreboard is quickly approaching that 1,200 point threshold. 400 away now here for Lazarus, as they do have control of C and about to grab control of B as long as Rag can fall, but Rag will get the elimination. and they should be able to actually take the point back for themselves. But he's very low in HP. Divine King's going to come through and take him down. Now Kafka's going to be overrun and just swarmed down as they don't really take too much damage on the retake there. And this difference is still continuing to kind of waver up and down. It's kind of...
The enemy captured
I'm trying to think of what's the word? To and fro? What's the... like a pendulum is swinging back and forth?
Oh, do you know what?
I'm bad with analogies.
I'm going to have to Google it. I'm normally... I can say analogies, but like...
What would we do without Google?
I don't know. We probably... I can think of a few things. I don't think we'll be in a good place by now if we Google. Going back to like in Carter days in the late 90s where we didn't have Google to search.
I'm going to use MapQuest.
MapQuest.
For everything, and you print it out.
And just say, what, you're one of those people who copy and pasted the homeworks?
What?
You're one of those people who copy and paste homeworks?
Okay, I can legitimately say, as Lazarus do take the lead and the victory here on the first map, that I've only done that once off someone else's paper. It was a very bad idea. I got caught, so don't do it at home if you guys are still in school. I did get caught, and I felt bad for it. But anyways, shouldn't feel bad. Lazarus, because they did, yes, get knocked down to third, fourth place match. I told you I keep doing it all the way until the end of June.
Maybe one day you won't.
Even in July. Nah, it's too easy. Have taken the lead. They have taken the 1-0 start. They had a bad start getting knocked down to third, fourth place match, but they have a good start in the series, are 2 maps away from closing on that third place position.
Yeah, that's right. They won in the end by 373 points. Great start from them. Couldn't ask for a better game one. Unity... I'm not really too sure. It looked like they couldn't really reset their mentality after that semi-final. I think they were more looking towards that final, hoping to take forZe down. But Lazarus, they've been in this boat before, again and again. They're used to it. They have so much experience on board. I'm sure they're perfectly fine coping with it now. And, we could see a 2-0 going into this one. Maybe even a 3-0 or 3-1, depending on the circumstances here. But as we go into the players, excellence. Third time in a row now, going +6 with those 3 assists. And he's really impressed me so far because, like I mentioned before, there's some games he'll be a little bit inconsistent, but he still does well. But there's other games where he goes absolutely mental, just goes crazy, gets so much points and caliber on the board. But the fact that he's got the top fragger and he's doing so much of the objective is great. But with Kotpa as well, +2. Didn't do too bad for himself. He did get some crucial trades, managed to stick together with some of his teammates every single time in that spawn cycle. But apart from that, it went in the favour of Lazarus no matter what.
It did. They rose from the death to get through a map victory. Please tell me you understand that reference.
I didn't actually hear half of that, so...
It's fine. I'm used to people.
I've actually got an excuse this time.
Lazarus. The Lazarus pit brings people back to life.
Yeah.
I think it's mythology. It's also within the DC universe. We know, because we know from last time you don't know much about Marvel or DC, so we'll skip into that as we do head into our second map now here between these two teams. About to kick off things on some military warehouse, some TDM. Let's see if Lazarus can maintain this lead and maybe grow it even further here with another victory under their belts.
Now, this is a map where we will see a couple stalemate situations a little bit more often than usual, but look at this now. Lazarus going straight in with that flank. He was already flamed from the incinerator anyway, but look at that now. 4 down straight away. Start of the game within 20 seconds. And Unity have had to decide exactly what they're going to do on spawn, but it's going to be quite a difficult one because Lazarus have all the crucial map positions to get that first shot.
I almost want to see them just continue to push this pressure, kind of set the tone for the rest of the series, even though there's potentially 1 map left to go. Because we've seen, like you said, a lot more passive play on these maps. They do have about a 40-point lead at the moment, but, continue the aggression. Don't let Unity get comfortable. Don't let them set up an attack the way they want to into your defensive positions. And, wow, Vrag just ran into many people there. It was not going to come out as the victor in that exchange.
Yeah, Lazarus had just all of a sudden turned it on, and I love what they were doing there. One of the players severely damaged there, but he's going to peek out just a little bit, just get a bit of damage done, and then rotate round and then see what they can do from there. But Romeo there managed to take one with him as he was quite weak, but it doesn't matter anyway. Look at this Unity. All 3 members were taken down. That impact from there. Great stuff from Lazarus. And now just slowly extending their lead, but they can't extend it too much for Unity, because if Unity extend it anymore, and look at, that BM, man.
Just, he's feeling the music. Maybe he's got, maybe he's listening to some music on the side, and he's just feeling it, and you had to dance. I wish I could dance. Not everyone can do it. And when you're really tall, things are really awkward because people notice you a lot more to dance for. Just like Divine King's noticing Razor here off towards that left-hand side, trying to go towards the high ground, and Razor takes himself a quick double. Yeah, Razor with that rocket. Can't complain, it was the best time to use it. It does so much damage, about 1,750 with the radius and 2,000 direct impact there. But
so far. You saw he had so much damage done, it didn't really matter anyway, because they're already quite weak in that situation. But Unity, they've caught up just a little bit with a 29-point gap there.
And Razor really shaving off the lead that Lazarus did have. Takes it down to about 20 points, 21 between the two.
I hate you. But no, yeah, Razor did a great job there. Don't get me wrong.
I think I was waiting for you to stop talking just so I could say that. And I was like, you know what, we're past the point, but I want to keep talking about it anyways, because he has gone big here. He's gotten the clean shave here on the skill, the point difference between the two. That lead is continuing to grow, just like my facial hair is 326 to 287.
Oh, well, what are we going to do with you? But looking at it now, Lazarus, 51 points ahead. Only a little bit weak, but it seems like it doesn't really matter too much to them. They're going to put in a stalemate situation, see if I can get some damage done there. They do. 2 down now for Unity, 3 down. It looks like there's no stopping Lazarus here, and it could be a little bit too much too late here. Depends what Unity are going to do on spawn.
Well, they got to do something. Down by 100 points at the minute, 50 left to go. Divine King gets a lot of damage done, and the finish with Romeo coming in big there at the last second. I think this map's almost done and dusted. Like, not to really take away from it, but this lead is amazing. They're continuing to maintain it instead of letting this gap close too much.
Oh, if only you said done and dusted in the DustTwo game. Never mind. Anyways, 45 points left for Lazarus to see what.
So now I get why I did the puns. Okay.
Well, I was happy with the pun, man. Oh, but look at that now. Nice 2 clean kills right at the very end, and Lazarus taking that second game now, and maybe a complete sweep here with Divine King with those 10 frags, top of the board.
And we'll go over to some King of the Hill on Wild West Saloon. Haven't actually cast that map just yet. Didn't get to see it last week, but that's the upside to having maps change, or the map playlist change every week. I was trying to think of the word there. But yeah, 2-0. Looking good here. Lazarus, they could have been in the finals with potentially a 2-0 lead, but it doesn't matter in the end. They have to play where their chips have fallen, and they are looking good to at least secure the 3rd place. That would be a good start for them. Not to mention $100 and 50 points.
Yeah, there's not really too many points compared to 3rd and 4th, but you saw from the leaderboard from the last series, it's very, very close. So every point does matter. Yeah. And even at this stage now,
came down to 5 points, I think. Sorry to interrupt. 5 points last time, or 10 points was the difference between 2nd and 3rd place.
Something silly, though.
Difference between staying at home and going to Texas. All paid trip. All expenses paid trip. Eventually get there. And to potentially come home with a few extra kilos added onto your body weight.
Yeah, I know I'll probably end up having a few kilos. Like
we'll end up having a few kilos.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have probably way too.
Barbecue every night. Get some good old mac and cheese. You see, this time Divine King, I'm sorry. I know we just ate, but I got to make you more hungry. Because right now I think Divine King's hungry to actually take 1st place away from Excellence. Been able to actually secure #1 here for his side, 167 points, +4. And Unity has Razor to lead the charge on their side. I was trying to think of a pun there at the end, but it didn't work out for me.
You tried. I think you've done really well so far. You're allowed to make one mistake, aren't you? So, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. You're the pun man. You're not allowed to make mistakes.
I'm the what man?
The pun man.
Oh, the pun man.
But you thought I said something else.
That bun man? I mean, I know I put on a little bit of weight here, but come on, man. They can't see on camera. I know my shirt's a little tight, but that's from muscle, I swear, as you see the weapon breakdown here between these two teams.
Yeah, no, I'm not really too far behind compared to you anyway. And yeah, Unity, all with those incinerators and avalanches there. A few of them with the scouts as well to give them that speed. And to be fair, nothing too different. You know, pretty much the same thing, different game.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking in the break about, you know, the difference between weapons, how much it really matters, you know, the close quarter combats versus the more passive styles of open maps. I actually still like the idea that, you know, having the right weapon out at the right time, like we were referring to before last week with Quake, like Quake is like the perfect example of it, but you're seeing it here. Coming around that corner against someone who has a sniper rifle out versus you having a shotgun, you're probably going to win that trade 9.9 times out of 10. I don't know how you 0.9 win a situation, but anyways, King of the Hill, let's go.
And there we go anyway, as you can see, great start, already 2 down for Lazarus, but don't get me wrong, Unity have got 2 back for themselves, but Divine King managed to stay alive so well. Triple elimination from him to start things off. And like I mentioned before this game started, Lazarus, this is one of their better game types, and for them to have a good start and maybe get that first hill, it can be a bit of trouble for Unity.
I really wish we had some music going on right now here as we're in the Wild Wild West. I hope you know the song I'm thinking of.
Oh, I know, don't you worry about that.
Wah, wah, wah.
Do you reckon Lazarus played that before the game starts?
I'm playing it in my head right now, so yeah, I mean, why not? Because Lazarus right now have a lead worthy of the Wild Wild West. It's not a very fair duel here as the Tumbleweed crosses the street and the dust settles yet again. I said that way too many times today, but look at that, 337 to 108 and showing no signs of stopping it for Lazarus.
Yeah, what a great dominant start there from Lazarus. Divine Kill with that triple elimination to start things off. Couldn't ask for a better game 3 here. But, you know, Unity making a slow comeback, playing a little bit more passive, but they can't play passive for too long. They need to try and get an attempt there to get some flanks going, which they have done, but it's on Lazarus' side. They're just continuing that lead. 3 down again now for Unity, and they really needed to change something up, but you saw there, Kofka tried to get something to happen, but there's nothing happened there at all. He was on his own. He should have waited for the next death cycle, because 3 of his teammates were actually on death screen there. So maybe he should wait for another 5-10 seconds, then push up afterwards, but I think he got a little bit overzealous, and I think this could be over already.
I almost want to say so. 651 to 191 points. I'll tell you, the Vultures will be eating healthy tonight from the dead bodies that Uni's leaving around here on the Saloon. Gonna go for a quick trade there. Excellence does take down Kotpa, but still, the damage has been done. The lead is still there, and to claw it back when they only need 250 points is almost impossible.
Yeah, and speaking of damage there, Excellence there, 232 points. He's been an absolute machine.
278.
Every game, yeah, 278. He's going to hit the 300 mark, at least, I reckon, going to the end of this now.
He almost has more than the entire team of AK-47 Unity combined.
That's disgusting. That really is. You can't make this stuff up. And again, another 3 down. Last one, 4 down. 38 points left. And Lazarus are easily going to take this series and then get that 3rd place. But look at it now. Lord Manu again, a little bit cocky. I think trying to push up a little bit too far. But I think, you know what? You can, because at that kind of stage, there's nothing you can do. And look at that. Excellence. 14 kills, 4 assists, and 295 points to finish things up in this best of 5 and secure their 3rd place.
So he almost had more than the top 3 from Unity's side. That's unfortunate, but that goes maybe into the map. Maybe it goes into them being a lot more prepared for Wild West Saloon, as we talked about before. You know, there's some good maps for some teams, some bad maps for some teams. Well, that seemed to be a damn good one, or maybe in the other end of that spectrum, maybe a really bad one for the Unity guys. But they don't go home empty-handed. They do take home 4th place, which is a fantastic finish, especially with the teams they had to beat to get through here to today. But they're also not done just yet. They still have 6 more weeks to come up, 6 more different cups to play in to get themselves through into the top 2 positions for the main event coming up in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Can't wait to be there and have some Brazilian barbecues. We're gonna have some Texas barbecue in the U.S., then some Brazilian. We're gonna just hit up all the barbecues across the world. And I think, I think it's already been announced as well that Gods of Boom with Noble gonna be participating in the event in Cologne, Germany. So I don't have to travel to that one. I get to stay at home.
Yeah, you're fine. I have to actually travel, unlike you. So yeah, it's lucky for some, isn't it?
It's fine. I can take you around to some German barbecue. If that's I think that exists. Excellence again. 4 out of 5. Maps now. He's finished 1st place, and he's done it yet again. He's definitely lived up to his name.
Yeah, the guy's an absolute machine. I said it before, he has a little bit inconsistencies, but when he is consistent, he's so good. But so far, he has been absolutely phenomenal. 14 eliminations plus 8. Another side of the board with Kotpa. You know, not really too much to say. Yeah, sure, he did the best on his team, but apart from that, there was not much to say. But,
yeah,
you know, with Excellence, very impressed by him, my UK boy.
You know, you have to cling to it when it does happen, when finally someone from the UK does well. To be fair, generally UK players do good in games they don't have to play with a team.
So what are you trying to say? We're just like, there's no I in team for us?
I mean, you look at the history across esports when it comes to UK, and any team that's full of a UK team just disbands like within their first couple months.
Sometimes it's actually quicker. Sometimes
yeah.
it's like
I was being generous with a couple months. But I mean, you have Problem X there, some fighting games, some loyalty there. Of course, you saw with Excellence able to do really well here. 1,000 points to 430. That is one of the most one-sided games we've seen so far.
Yeah, and that's why it's one of the better maps. And, you know, only 2 incinerators there for Lazarus, but there wasn't really too much they needed to do, just due to the fact that with the Odin, it can be quite good in some parts of the map. But I think they were more focused on holding that Saloon and having that Avalanche prepared, waiting to get that first shot. And I think that's one of the mistakes Unity did make, was there wasn't really anyone trying to flank the person on the actual carriage and the bottom mid. They just seemed to push Saloon quite openly or someone be up top, but Divine King is one of those players where he'll be up top quite a lot waiting for that flank, and he will do it every single time. But there was just no method. They weren't playing slow and methodical. And when you saw 2 or 3 members down for Unity, when it's like 1 or 2 members alive, they could have just waited back, wait for the next death cycle. Instead of just, dying, willy-nilly and just like literally just going straight in and causing that death. Instead, when you die and your next teammates spawn, you've got another 5-10 seconds to wait, and it's going to be that cycle where there's always going to be 2 people left, and it's going to be 4v2 the entire time.
Well, luckily for them, they get to hear your breakdown analysis of that match. You get to rewatch it, more importantly, of what did happen and what they can maybe change coming into the next cup. We do have to head to a break, but when we come back, we'll be kicking off the grand finals here of our European tournament. Welcome back, everyone, to the Guns of Boom Spring Challenger Series Season 2 of our Grand Finals now for our first cup here. He's Jason Kaplan, I'm Lethal, and we're ready to get underway here with our final match would be a best of 5. I know you wish you were Jason Kaplan.
No, I was going to say you wish to be me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I knew you were going to say that.
I would be much better at video games if I was you. That is true.
Yeah, you're better looking.
That's the nicest. Oh, stop it, you.
No, it's fine.
Oh, you made me blush. Yeah, so we have our last match, and it's two teams. Well, not two teams. It's one team we didn't expect to get there. DustTwo. They kind of surprised us, able to take some really big victories, able to knock down Lazarus into the 3rd, 4th place match. And then forZe, their opponents, the team who did qualify 2nd for the main event, the Pro Series event for winter coming up in Dallas, Texas. I was going to say in cold Dallas, Texas, but that's not a possible thing. It's always blazingly hot there.
Not going to happen, though.
I just can't wait for some barbecue, honestly. I'm excited.
We're just going to barbecue the world, aren't we?
We should. Just every country. We'll go to Korea. Let's have a Guns of Boom event in Korea.
I've already done it.
Some Korean barbecue.
Actually, so that's one off the list.
I'm gonna brag about it. Let's take a look at the brackets though. In the meantime, and start talking about food because we need to talk about how today will end. Will forZe take 1st place, or will they forever be number 2? As they're up against Dust. I think that doesn't matter because DustTwo has literally 2 in their name, so we know how this one's probably gonna go.
Yeah, been some very clean matches here, and will we see one from this grand final? Not too sure really. DustTwo have been very impressive. They're a very strong team anyway, but to take down Lazarus quite comfortably, a little bit surprised there considering last week it wouldn't look too impressive, but obviously changed a few things here and there. Maybe the maps were more in their favour, but forZe, no surprise. They're in that final. They impressed us last cup. It seems like nothing's changed compared to this one.
Yep.
But could DustTwo take them down? You never know. I think they could. I think they could.
So you went so high pitched there as like only dogs in this room could hear you.
Yeah, it's basically like a dog whistle.
You pulled a Stewie, you just kept going higher and higher, and then eventually you just have nowhere to go.
I can go quite high. I could go quite low. It's up to you.
That wasn't that low.
Oh, I can't. Okay, everybody knows.
Don't worry, my vocal range is here and then like way through the roof, and that's about it. It doesn't go much lower than this.
That's really interesting. That.
I wish I had one of those nice deep voices, you know, like Barry White. Some after night radio talk show or something.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do that because my voice, I can't get it that low at all, not even close.
I was trying to figure out a way to segment that back into the game, but I failed. Today is going downhill for me. So it's going to be a best of 5. Again, if you're just joining us, we do have Farming Complex, Military Warehouse, Wild West Saloon, Skyscraper, and Atrium if we do need that 4th and 5th map. As we saw in our 3rd, 4th place match, those last 2 were not needed at all. Could potentially happen here. It has the possibility to, from what we've seen. We definitely have forZe as being the favorites in this match. They're definitely, hands down, the better caliber team off past results. But on stage, things are different.
Yep.
And hope they'll use this as an opportunity to mentally prepare for playing on a stage.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know what it is with their offline results. I've not actually spoken to them personally myself as to why. There probably is a reason behind it. I hope so, because if they can't think of a reason behind it, then it's going to be the exact same thing at the last 2 live events.
Probably just get nervous having you cast. Like, oh my God, Lethal's here casting us. What do we do?
I don't know. Probably not.
That's how I feel when I cast you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Am I sweating?
Oh my God. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. But DustTwo, the actually complete opposite. They're actually the team where, in an offline environment, they don't really care about the situation they're in front of a small crowd, big crowd,
point your eyes
anything
there.
like that. But
Jason can't talk about our mace all show.
Yeah, I missed that bit sadly as I was talking. I was talking too much.
No, you can never talk too much. That's why I like you.
Oh, I can, trust me. I can talk for days. But yeah, DustTwo, I think they had the potential to do it more than Lazarus this time round because they seem just a little bit stronger. But we'll have to see how things go. From the outcome for the first 2 games, we'll get an indicator as to what could happen in this series. But now, in this first map, with Farming Complex, we'll see exactly what can happen. But straight away, Dolman with that first strike and Deadly with the trade.
It's not over just yet. Okay, Armaze comes through with himself a double, so maybe it is over just yet. As they do maintain a lead here, albeit about 30 points, but they don't have control of the actual points. That's the downside. They have C currently. They're trying to fight back for B, which Armaze is able to potentially open up with, but Larson, it's a nice explosive damage kill. B still not being controlled by either team. Even C in the meantime is actually being turned around. Something forZe, and we've seen, I think it was Lazarus, do quite a bit of just going for these long flank plays and just pretty much going for the back caps and not trying to go for the challenges necessarily in the close quarter combat fights.
Yeah, we saw Armace earlier there with an elimination streak, and we've got another 2 on the board. That's 3 down now. And it's going to be quite difficult for him to come off spawn here. Make sure to wait for each other and then push straight back out afterwards. But so far, DustTwo, I mentioned before, you know, they can be quite impressive. They're one of the momentum-based teams. They don't play like a mixed team in that kind of way. They are quite structured depending on the scenario and what maps it is. But so far, so good for them. But forZe are not too far behind. They're crawling back, managed to get 3 down now. Triple elimination for Hale, and it's all going downhill now for DustTwo.
Yeah, the points too in their favor. They're starting to claw a little bit of a lead, though. That lead's going to be quickly turned around as Armace gets himself a nice double. Spleen as well chimes through. And they should be able to capture B here since 3 players are going to be on those respawns here for forZe. You can see Deadly trying to come around the corner. Eventually will fall. Hale's going to be there. They do have the 2-for-1, so we'll eventually pick up the frag lead there. They do get 3 to their name, and just like that, they're taking the lead back themselves. They're trying to capture B, and again, as you talked about before, going in kind of by yourself when you need to wait for those respawns can be very detrimental, but Tao gets himself a double somehow.
Yeah, he should not have got away with that. He was so weak, but I think there's some miscommunication there on the forZe side. They didn't really capitalize on his HP that much, but Armace is very weak there. I was just about to call it and say that he needs to get behind that haystack and just try and stay alive to hold A, but we got A anyway. But at this stage, Hale could easily just get that back. Larson with one of his own. That's 2 down now, 3 down for DustTwo, and it's not looking too good. It's getting quite close now to that 1200 mark, and DustTwo really need to do something special here to not just catch up, but to overtake them as well.
It's going to be a tough battle as we're approaching that good old 1200 point threshold. 900 now here for the side of forZe. Again, you're still seeing kills being traded constantly. Tao now trying to pull off this little bit of a fight, but Larson's going to eventually get the elimination there. And eventually should be able to take the point back. You see it's currently 3 actually in favor. Sorry, it was only 2 in favor of the red side, but they still don't have the lead because these kills are constantly going the way of forZe.
Yeah, Armace had a great double there to kind of keep him at bay. Tao gets another one now, and the spawn cycle for forZe is not looking too good. They're pushing a little bit separated now, and it has given DustTwo the chance to gang up on them left, right, and center. Another 3 down now. This is what I was talking about before, where some of these little minor mistakes on the dev cycle, if you don't wait for your next teammate and then push on, this is the kind of stuff that can happen now. But anyways, a trade there. DustTwo are only 24 points away from winning this, and it looks like this could be a DustTwo game. They just need to stay alive, and they have done. So does DustTwo manage to get that first win there? Great stuff from them.
Do we have a new Unbreakable? Do we have a new team kind of coming out of nowhere and beating the top dogs? They take the first map here in a best of 5, and they were looking great considering they were able to fight back from a big deficit, able to come back when it mattered, and able to kind of stick together as a team. Yeah, maybe we're going to have, you know, as the seasons continue to go on here and the spring into summer Challenger Series, we're going to have these teams just come out of nowhere. Not say nowhere, but come up and rise to the ranks and really take it to the top 1 or 2, 3 teams in the regions. Yeah,
definitely. I would say DustTwo eSports is one of those teams where they do well, not just in an online environment, but offline. They're kind of like some of the other teams in a way where they're much better in an offline environment. They're very confident individuals, very comfortable. Even at their first event in LA, you could see from their point of view and just how they reacted to certain situations. They wanted it. They're more hungry more than any other team, I'd probably say. They're almost passionate as Nokia from Noble, but instead of it just being one player, it's literally the entire team. When you've got players like Spleen going absolutely off, it's some really crazy stuff, and as you can see from the score, Hale did do quite well considering the circumstances, even though they did fall to DustTwo eSports in that first game, +1 with some decent objective. But Tao, 11 and 7, we didn't really see too much from him. I think it was more the individual plays he was making. Don't get me wrong, we saw Armace with some of the elimination streaks. He did get some doubles here and there.
He did have
Tao was consistent on the board.
And he had a situation where he was like the only guy left alive for his team, and he pushed it and got 2. Like in a situation, he shouldn't have been able to even get 1 if the other team was playing it. So maybe really doing a great job of taking advantage of the situations given to him and able to capitalize off of those, which is, I think, so important because obviously aim does matter quite a bit. But your positional play and knowing what you can do when you can do it, I think is one of the most important factors when it comes to playing Gods of Boom.
And as we can see from the weaponry there, a little bit different here. So we've got Deadly and Stason with that Porcupine as well as the 2 Avalanches there. But DustTwo, all Avalanches, not too much of a surprise. The only difference is you've got one Odin from Spleen, and that can be quite good as well, especially if you're on that death cycle and you're coming off spawn to get some damage done. You don't have to do too much, but you do just a little bit just to kind of get them to actually flame and then actually get some tick damage afterwards from when you've actually shot them. It causes a massive impact and gives you a massive advantage for any 1v1, 2v2, 1v2 fights you can take. That's why you saw some players like Tao, where he took on that 1v2 when he clearly shouldn't have gotten away. Maybe one of them actually used Incinerator to kind of get that tick damage off just that little bit more beforehand.
Maybe. We're going to our second map momentarily, Military Warehouse TDM. Not sure how this is going to play out in terms of, are we going to see really passive play, really aggressive play? We've seen Military Warehouse be more of like the slower kind of maps, TDM style, from what we had just last week, but as we saw in the match just before, I don't really care about playing passive, because then again, it is like technically the first cup, right? You still have like many more to go in the coming weeks, so it's not like you have to play super serious, I guess. It's not like your trip's on the line just yet, but I think the teams who do take it really seriously are the teams you expect to be the best in the region, because those are the teams who will be prepared, obviously have a point advantage coming into the final weeks, and the teams who will mentally have the correct focus when it comes to playing a big event. Yeah,
that's right. There's a lot of changes which went into Season 2, like, the consumables, some of the respawn time elements in the game, but I think that's one of the crucial things now. With that Winter Series, it's given everyone time to adjust and change their strategies to work around these Season 2 changes. But now with the Spring Series, which is now just started, this is their time to kind of express their full potential, because they've learned everything, they've kind of adjusted to the new settings and how things are going to work out. It's just a matter of which teams are going to be the most consistent going through all these cups. But like I said before, we saw in that third place playoff, at least we've seen teams like Unity coming out of the woodwork and managed to cause an impact. It's a shame that teams like Noble, even though they went out first round, they can easily upset one of those top 4 or maybe 8 teams when they come back here. But in all fairness, so far so good. forZe, not too much of a surprise here. And we'll have to see how DustTwo get on, see if they can grab that first place spot.
Yeah, I mean, they still have 2 more to go, so it's not like it's done just yet. They still have to definitely work for it. We're just having a quick rehost of the lobby. I think we're having a couple of problems there to make sure everyone was ready to go. And we should be able to hop in just a few seconds. But yeah, I think that's what's kind of great is that, this game, I think it's new enough that you can kind of get together a group of friends and you can compete, and after, I'd say, a couple months, if only like a month or 2 or a month and a half, you can actually compete against some of the best. Like, obviously, you won't be able to necessarily beat them, but it's a very easy entry level to get into. If you guys are still out there and you're thinking about, participating, it's a chance to win money every weekend when it comes to this, and maybe even, if you're good enough, a chance to meet Lethal in person at an event.
I think with these new teams as well, it's like, it's good to get started now, even if you've only been playing just for a small amount of time, because every point matters in this series. So even if it's a first or second cup, you don't get any, at least you've got the experience on the board to try and get something done. And even if you don't make it throughout the Spring Series, there's another series after this in a couple months down the line anyway. So it gives you enough preparation, I can't speak today, and to get ready for that next series anyway. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is it's, one way or another, it's an advantage. It's a win-win.
And you might as well play in the cups anyways, because what's the downside? You get no points. The upside is you get better. You play against really good teams, and you can potentially win some points.
Yeah, exactly. It's there's not really any flaws in it, in all fairness. And, now we still have quite a few teams, and you see the odd team here and there creeping up into that top 8, top 4, which we have seen. We saw it in the last cup, this one we've seen Unity. Unity have been about a little bit, but we haven't seen them in the top 4 for quite a while. And it's just a great example of what some of these new teams can do. Unbreakable's great example of last series, coming second in the EU region, and, they were not seen at all until this season, I suppose.
Yeah, and they've had, I guess, a rocky start here, dropping in the round of 16. Didn't get to see them actually on stream. I know we definitely want to see them, a couple times if we can in the possible future, since they are a team that kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but the Unbreakables team, I've never seen anything from. I've not seen any plays. I've not seen them on stream, and I just want to see them just once, just to see exactly what they're like, because they were very dominant in the last series in some of the later cups, and I want to see the reasons why. I want to actually analyse and see what I could pick up on and which maybe other teams can pick up on, and just kind of discuss what they're actually doing maybe a little bit differently compared to others. Because going to be wrong, there's some cups where they 3-0'd some of the teams. They actually 3-0'd a forZe team, I think, in a few cups ago, a few weeks back. And, that's a dominating statement. It's considering forZe are a very good online team. But, we won't see it this cup. Maybe next one, maybe the one after. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, there's no shortage of cups to come. I think every weekend until the end of June, if I'm not mistaken, or it's beginning of June. I think it's beginning of June. Could be end of June. Is it end or beginning? Till June, we'll say. Yeah, we'll say till June. We'll be here every week to bring you all the action Guns of Boom. So make sure to actually get involved. If you are participating in the game, you're playing, give it a shout. Give it a try. Maybe we should do that. You, me, Jackie,
Blue.
He's in the U.S., so probably not the best choice.
And again, Divine King's in the US.
Okay, well then, yeah, but Blue's nowhere near as good as Divine King.
Yeah, probably not.
I played games of Blue, and it was.
You had a good time.
Almost broke my nose from slamming my face into the desk.
Okay, maybe.
But no, we got Demon. We can get him involved in it.
Yeah, we can get Demon. Yeah, he'll probably do it right. To be fair, considering what he used to play. Nah, okay. I was just trying to be nice.
I know.
Never mind. I'll be bad then. No, I don't want him.
I think it'll be you and I top fragging. I think Jackie would be third, and Demon would be fourth.
Yeah, or maybe Zoot. Maybe he'll be right on a phone game. Keep away from mouse and keyboard. Be a bit of a tough one, I suppose.
I carry him in every game he plays, so probably not.
Even Quake?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a couple of those. Just don't let him watch this VOD.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Anyways, we have fixed the lobbies. We are back into the game. Sorry for the slight delay we did have there. Military Warehouse with TDM and DustTwo up 1-0 in this best of 5 series.
Yeah, the strategies are going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen because DustTwo, very, very aggressive team, no matter what kind of map it is. They're probably the sort of team who will probably be quite aggressive on maps like Europe Street, but it's not the fact that they're aimlessly being aggressive. They're just taking advantage of a certain situation very quickly, very efficiently. And we're going to see what we can do here. So Larson is pushed up a little bit here, but I would probably say a frag he should have taken anyway, but it doesn't matter. The trade came in. Spleen managed to finish him off with the Incinerator there, and Larson and Deadly a cup on the board as well. So forZe, great start from them.
And looking pretty decent, 42-point lead at the moment. See a lot of snipers coming in to fight here. Doran gets himself a nice double to take that lead down to just a few points here. A lot of it goes into these clean kills that you can get. And of course, these streaks you can pick up as well for extra points on top. See, it looks like Tao trying to take more of a forward position here. Has actually great cover from that spot. The problem is it's so expected. Everyone's already looking that direction anyways. You can be very susceptible to any explosives, especially grenades thrown in that direction.
That's right now. 2 down now for DustTwo. Spleen managed to get one back. Must get a second one on the board, but sadly does get traded off by Deadly there. A lot of people running Incinerators this time round, which is understandable because if you manage to get that half of the map and get those ramps and watch them to come out on spawn, that's a lot of damage you can clean up and get a few shots in, get some after damage, some that should take damage afterwards to hide them and maybe wait for the flanks. A lot of things you can do here, but forZe still doing really well, still with a great lead. Very healthy lead, and looks like in terms of health, it seems to be quite consistent across the board. So far so good for forZe.
See Doran really playing that long angle. Some already on the board with a couple of snipes. Armaze gets himself a nice double there. Elimination streak comes in for Deadly. It's only about 50 points, about 48 between the two. Still can be anyone's map here, as the pace has slowed down quite a bit. Again, people looking for the initial shots, looking for that early damage, where they do commit and push in for some of these kills. And you can see with forZe, the one losing quite a few players. They're the one forced to push up from their own spawn. Deadly gets one. Larson as well. Hale's eventually going to fall, but it seems to have gone all blue here with 3. Now 4th kill coming through.
Yeah, Larson with that triple elimination there. I think a couple of members of DustTwo did time it right with that push, but Larson was there just stabilizing, waiting just to clean up for the damage we'd taken from before. And that's just going to extend their lead even further. So right now, DustTwo need to try and figure out what they can do here. Some of the members of forZe are quite weak. And as you see, Deadly's just playing it safe, playing it passive at the moment, just trying to get more info rather than pushing in aggressively, which is a fair enough play from him. But DustTwo must get a couple more kills on the board. Doran again with another snipe there.
Look at that lead, the non-existent lead now. It felt like it was 100 points if I wasn't mistaken, or close to it. Now it's just about 28 between the two. By the way, who the hell is responsible for the upkeep on this map? Because all this radioactive material just laying around seems very unsafe.
Yeah, I don't think it's great to maybe fight in a nuclear power plant, pretty much, in a nuclear wasteland. Not really too sure, but forZe now quite far ahead, 43 points. DustTwo will have to do something special here, and it looks like it's going to be a bit of a tough one. It's very situational. It's always quite stalematy around here, but Doran has to be really, really careful. It doesn't matter anyway. Larson managed to finish the job there. One more kill for forZe. Spleen managed to take one down, but Spleen does manage to pull back. to stay alive for another day, but for how long? Stas is going straight in, managed to clean up there. Great place for him, so that's going to be 1-1 between both teams.
And you didn't want to jinx it earlier on. I remember talking about it, but even off air, when wind breaks, the commentator curse will ring true, as we're not going to have a clean sweep here in the finals. But forZe able to tie things up, where previously it looked like they might have actually dropped down the finals with a 3-0 against them. So they've been able to take the second map, moves over to Wild West Saloon. We're going to see now guaranteed Skyscraper back into a TDM, which I still don't know how I feel. I feel like DustTwo did a relatively good job. I feel like if they maybe had a couple of different kills in some different situations, it could have been actually in their favor. They could be looking at a 2-0. But definitely one of the closest series I think we've seen. Yeah, definitely one of the closest series we've had, actually, since last week, like comparing those matches to today.
Yeah, I would agree, just due to the fact that DustTwo are probably one of the best teams in terms of resetting their mentality into the next game, taking it one game at a time, like you should do anyway, and going into the scores of the individual players.
Wow, 12 limbs, 4 deaths.
Yeah, he was sitting back quite a lot, sniping or trying to get some damage done with, I can't remember what AI he was using, but we probably saw the graphic later on. But 196 points, can't complain, especially in the TDM, and Doran did a great job as well, +4 with 175 points. Great stuff from both of these players.
Yeah, so really nice to actually see a couple different players step up as well. You know, I was getting tired of seeing Armace #1, getting tired of seeing Excellence #1.
But you called him out, that's it. You know, when you call someone out, that's
well,
it.
Armace called himself out, okay? He said if you want to see someone with a master class put on and watch me, and you know what, he only got first place once. So just saying Armace, please love me, follow me on Twitter. But no, it's nice to see that everyone, when you get to these top level teams, you have these players, they're all able to step up on any given map or on any given situation or series.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm talking about. You know, we got Armace going, watch me, you know, I'll smash him, all that kind of bits and pieces. It just shows the confidence in this team. They're very comfortable, online, offline. They don't really care about anything which could come their way. It doesn't matter what team and how skilled they are. They'll play the same way. They'll try and play their game no matter what. It's a shame with forZe that, don't get me wrong, they did a great play taking that win. But I don't think for DustTwo that's more their kind of style. It's more the objective games, which is more their style. But I'm worried that, I think you did say one of the maps is Atrium towards the end.
I did.
And if it does get to that, you saw how well forZe did against Lazarus.
Well, let's see how things break down before we can get to that point. We're going to need to see a 2-2 scoreline to get to our 5th and final map. And so far, Stations are able to get the first frag of the game, but not get the most, as it will go towards the red side here for DustTwo. And as you mentioned, objective game seeming to ring true here, as they're going to be able to capture the point, and I'm looking to control it here on King of the Hill.
Yeah, DustTwo just seem a lot better on some of these objective game types. Not all of them, because it depends how open or closed some of the maps are in terms of the geometry and how much they abuse it. But so far, they have had a good start, but forZe now, great comeback from them, managed to get a lot of damage down, pushed in perfectly, couldn't ask for better time, but Doran then, with a double elimination from him, to kind of clean up a little bit here, and the third one from Tower as well. Armace gets another one down, so it's going to be very tough work for the guys at forZe here.
Deadly.
As I'll say that.
140 points. Gets a triple there. Eventually gets knifed out by the spleen, cutting out that appendage. That doesn't matter because the point's still in the lead here for forZe. They're up to 338, 350 now against 267. They're going to have that 100-point lead here in a second.
Yeah, because due to how slow the strafe is on this game, it's going to be quite difficult at times. But, you know, their strafe, some of them on DustTwo can be quite difficult to try to comprehend, and you kind of miss a few shots here and there. So forZe do struggle like that a little bit, but in terms of long-range game with their ARs, they seem to be quite impressive. But look at this great play here from Armace. forZe had the ball middle control. It seems to be quite stable, but Armace came all the way behind, and even though he only got 1 kill, he did a lot of damage here, and hopefully now DustTwo can capitalize.
To be fair, he actually did that a lot, Armace, when he was playing against Lazarus on Paradise Island at the start of the day. He flanked around multiple times, was able to get like 2-3 eliminations each time he did it. But not going to work out as well for him this time here, as you mentioned, only getting the 1. And the point should be turning towards the red side here at DustTwo in just a second. They will get control, and they're going to need this control because they're down quite a bit of points here, and Lazarus looking to fight back. Sorry, forZe looking to fight back here and take this point back in their favor.
Oh, Spleen, great trade there from him. He's even behind him as well. Again, another great play. Even though he only got one elimination, he managed to get some damage done on 2 of the players from behind. Great stuff from him, but at the moment now, forZe are just getting a bit carried away here. You know, there's so many points ahead, almost 200 at this point. And DustTwo, they really need to get this hill and need to start keeping him on spawn. Put so much pressure on him, get some map control, but when you've got Deadly on top of the saloon, getting so much damage done on top of him, no one even looked to stop him there. And again, map control taken just from that one play from the members of forZe, from Deadly.
It's all about those off angles, you know, fighting from a position you're not expected, able to just get the damage done. The accuracy is so important when you're in those situations too, because when they're not aiming at you, you need to hit those shots. And funny enough, a lot of, I mean, even I experience this, and I'm not saying even I, like I'm a great player, but aiming at someone who's not looking at you always seems to be more difficult than someone looking at you, because they're completely unpredictable when they're not, you know, in your direction looking and fighting against you and dueling against you. You have to kind of respond to that really quickly, and lucky for him, he's able to get so much damage done that they were able to take the point, maintain the lead, though that lead is quickly dissipating as we do have the point in favor here of DustTwo.
That was great place from Deadly there, an easy double for him. The Mavs get traded down finally, but it looks like forZe, this will be their second win here in this game 3, and it will be. And forZe managed to take that quite comfortably, and Deadly top of the scoreboard by a mile. Massive margin from him, and you mentioned that triple. Yeah, he's probably having a bit of fun in games there with that rocket earlier.
I would hope so. You know, when you have something like that happen, when you have a nice triple, you know, one day I will experience getting a triple kill in anything I've ever played, in any game. It will happen, and I'll feel the sensation a lot of you people out there experience playing well in a game. You've kind of killed my spirits from what we did before we actually started the show today. Maybe I'll get back to you later on. But right now, we need to see DustTwo get back at forZe, because they are down now 2-1 in the series. I don't know who those people are, but you know what? Clearly, there was some great play over in the NA tournament. That is actually, I think, started already. 369 points for DustTwo over in the NA tournament. And I think they probably won if you took that many points.
Yeah, if I saw someone 369 points and they lost, I'll be like, time to change teams, I think. We're one of those guys.
And ask for a pay raise in your team.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Why are you guys not getting 369 points like me? Like, you know, what's going on? But, yeah, I'm...
not all of us can play like that.
No, it's fine. That's why I'm here with you. You know, when we play something in future, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I've got your back.
Yeah, and I'll, you know, maybe lend you a couple of inches of height.
Yeah.
To help you out one day.
Well, you know, it's not my fault I'm as tall as you. You know, I try my best. You know, I'm only 5'10". I do what I can in life. You know,
are you 5'10"?
Yeah.
Huh. That's what it says on your Tinder profile, because you're definitely not 5'10" in real life.
I knew you were going to say something like that. But, you know, I'll try and be like, you know, 8 foot, but, you know, it's not my fault.
I love the people who are like, yeah, I'm 5'11", but I'm Tinder, I'm 6'5".
Yeah, I know.
A whole meme.
Yeah, you see that so much. It's like, he's actually 5'6" when he's putting down like 6 foot. I do feel sorry for the people who meet that person, but
when I tell people I'm 6'6", 6'5.5" technically,
yeah.
They don't believe it. And then
see, you lower your height. See, we probably.
No, I'm 6'5.5".
Yeah,
but I say 6'6" because it's less wordy. And I'd rather go up because you know how if you're halfway, you always round up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? So,
yeah.
But people don't realize I'm actually really tall. Like right now, we're sitting next to each other, and it's like, oh, they're about the same height. No, if we were to stand, you wouldn't see probably this much and higher on the camera, and then you'd see his entire body.
Yeah,
I don't know what we're talking about this actually. I think we're waiting for teams to ready up, so we can stop talking about how tall I am.
I could probably stand up, and you'd be like sitting down, and you would still be taller than me. That's like,
yeah,
maybe not that much, but yeah, it'd be close.
I need to marry someone that's like 6'6", and then just imagine how tall our babies would be.
Like just some giant, like.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
be bad at video games, bad at sports.
I would be tall, but you know, I'm not to blame. It's my parents. What can I do?
Typical millennial here, blaming everyone else but himself. I think we're waiting for the game to get set up here. We're heading over to Skyscraper, back to TDM, which we did see forZe win last time we were on Military Warehouse. So will the trend stay true? Will we have a 3-1 victory in the cards for them? Well, one thing we can tell you is we're about to actually kick things off here to potentially our final map of the night. Remember, there's no North American tournament being broadcasted tonight. However, it is being played. Next week, we'll be bringing you EU and an A. And let's see how this one breaks down. Will we have a map 5 on Atrium, or will we be done in 4?
Now, this is where we'll see a lot more passive plays. But as I'm saying that, DustTwo straight away rush top mid. And don't get me wrong, there is some players on that forZe side who are trying to get bottom and trying to get those angles. But look at this now, 3 members of forZe are going to push around and try and catch DustTwo off guard. Wasn't the case. Does throw a nade to keep him away, but does come back anyway. It's very close, but Hell finally gets the frag. But Talmas to get the trade straight afterwards. So it's looking good for DustTwo.
You saw our arm ace yet again, flanking around the back. Able to get the 1 kill to himself, but Tao was able to be the one on the board first. You see Arm Ace is burning up here as... I mean, they're still getting these kills. Eventually, it's going to be trade out in favor here, the blue side for forZe. But will it continue to be so clean as the spleen is eventually going to be removed from the body? And that will be the side of forZe able to take a 14-point lead.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. I think they tried to get a timing attack going for DustTwo. One was Two of them were about to push top mid, and one was, two at bottom mid as well. But they just mistimed it just a little bit. The two guys top mid started making the attack with three of the guys from forZe looking down at bottom mid, but that was actually the perfect time to come in. But they just mistimed it, so it ended up being a 3v2v2, and sadly for DustTwo, coming the worst end of it, but it doesn't matter anyway because they still got the lead. Deadly with a double there, very important to help him catch up a little bit more, and a third from Larson now. So map control back in favour of forZe.
Deadly was a really big standout so far in this series, able to first place twice out of the 3, I believe. Can't remember. I think it might have been. I think it was Hale actually. Yeah, Hale in map 1, but they did lose, and then Deadly in the 2 that did win. So for I think forZe to close this out, they need to see Deadly do well yet again. Here, Stacy gonna be flanking around. Should be an easy kill for him. And of course, Commentator's Curse comes into effect. Doran gets the better of him, maintain the lead.
That is typical, and he was so weak as well, which was such a shame, but managed to get the better end of it anyway. But as we can see now, two members of DustTwo on that top mid section on their side of the map, waiting to see if they can find any information and maybe get some damage done. We've got Hell there. Oh, the snipe to see if he can do what he can, but he can. He managed to get Doran, took him off guard. Still another one in front of him. It seems like no one's paying attention to him actually sniping bottom mid. There's some miscommunication there. Hell with a triple elimination and a spree for him. Oh, wait for him. Meant to get all 4 down. Hell, man, calm down.
Hale with the Hail Mary gets the 4 kills, like you said before, takes the lead as well for forZe, and they're looking to maintain this position. It's not they can play a little bit more passive, forcing Doran and his team to push into them, but just like that, Tal comes in. And luckily, it's still kills being traded constantly between the two, and the lead will still maintain here for the side of forZe. And just, of course, as I speak about it, DustTwo will take it back by 3 points.
Yeah, it's considering Hell got all 4 down and elimination streak before that entire whole thing. There must have been some miscommunication there from the DustTwo side, but even after all that, DustTwo still have a window of opportunity. One by one, they're taking it very slow. Spleen must have traded there, and Stacy must have get 2 of his own before he got taken down. But forZe, I was going to say they've got the lead, but now DustTwo back to forZe again. And Doran with an elimination streak now. He's been playing so well, so consistent throughout this map, and if it stays that way, we could be going to a game 5.
It definitely could be happening. Spleen again going to come up and get a kill here. See Armace backing off and realizing he's not too healthy as the push comes in from the side, and that will not work out for Stacy, and kind of gets caught in a really disadvantageous position. Wasn't expecting there to be multiple players around that corner. You see Spleen trying to hold inside the building. Doran here going to be off towards the side to watch them cross in if they do that. 419, all they need is 500 to close this out, and time is going to be on their side. A minute left to go, and they still have this lead.
Yeah, with this map towards the end, or normally throughout the whole game, you will see some stalemates, but you'll see a lot more time in attacks as well. And we'll see it especially towards the last minute of this game. So far, forZe managed to take the lead. Only 13 points. Double elimination from Hell now. Trying to get a third on top of it, but sadly doesn't. Tal gets a double of his own now. And managed to get a great snipe there from Doran. And so far, DustTwo are looking very healthy to maybe take this game 4 and take it to game 5.
Hale's at 212 points. No one's passed 100 on his team just yet, by the way. I just wanted to point that out for him. There we go. Stason able to take down Doran, able to get himself up above 100. 474 to 478. 30 seconds left to go. We have to see forZe be the ones to get aggressive here. They need to get the kill to get themselves in the lead, and then they can't back off. Now they have. Now they can actually do it. They get the second kill at the end as well. And forZe will be your victors here of Cup number 1 of the spring season for Challenger Series. What a way to finish it off. Hale playing phenomenal right there. 4 kills in a row, eliminates the entire team. Had a kill streak, as I said before that. Without that play, without his 200,000 points he had, whatever he had at the end of that one, that would never have been a map victory for forZe.
Yeah, it was definitely some kind of miscommunication. This is why, you know, small talk is so important. If someone just said, right, Hale was bottom mid, it's just sniped me, be careful, or just anything, at least just call out his position, then that's when you can capitalize and be a bit more careful. But you saw then, I think they did make an attempt when you saw 2 members go top mid, but it's just a coincidence the fact that the damage done from some of the forZe members there, but Hale just cleaned up left, right, and centre. I'd say all 4 down, elimination streak, like I mentioned before, before he even got all 4 down. But that was a massive play, because if it went for that, then they'll still be in that kind of stalematey situation. They need to force out the first mistake, and maybe it would have gone to a game 5. But great plays from DustTwo anyway. Commiserations.
Yeah. And again, I mean, that was just the first time we've seen them in the top 4 since we've been covering the show for the Challenger Series for Season 2. We obviously did only do 1 cup, the final cup in the Winter Series, but now moving into spring, we'll be covering all of them, I believe into summer as well. And it's great to see you have some other teams. It's a little bit of a shame that Noble, didn't make it through since they did meet Lazarus in the first round, but that's sometimes how the cookie does crumble for them. Hopefully they can maintain focus into next week's Cup. But yeah, so we have some interesting standings now between the two, and again, Hale, 227. He was over 200 points before anyone crossed the 100-point line on his team.
Yeah, he was having a field day. It's basically his playground, having a right laugh there. So, but yeah, anything over 200 points, especially in the TDM, is phenomenal work there. As you can see there, +6 with still having 7 assists. So he was getting the damage done, and he had all the eliminations for it. But don't get me wrong, Tout again on that DustTwo section, top of the board there. +4, great stuff from him, but it just wasn't enough for the entire squad.
Just want to say, by the way, so he had 227 points. He almost had half of the 500 they needed in total to win that map. Like, that's insane.
What you gotta do, man.
Yeah, like he's probably there like, guys, my back is killing me. Oh, you guys got to stop writing me. Let's take a look at the brackets one more time so you can see the path they did take, obviously, into that victory. forZe able to take down Unity in the initial match. Able to take the whole shebang there at the end as well. But the big surprise was DustTwo taking down Lazarus to me. That was pretty big.
Yeah, that was big. Even though DustTwo are a strong team, you'd normally expect Lazarus to, there's a possibility there that it will go to a 3-game series, but for Lazarus not to take a game against them, but quite surprising. But at least they got third place with Unity. They got a nice chunk of points and change on the board. forZe taking it, not really too much of a surprise. They were very, very strong last cup, and even if they weren't at their best in this one, they'll still have hell to pay playing against any other team in the bracket.
If they're not their best in this one, they still win first place.
What can you do, man? What can you do?
Well, I think for them in this case is to be able to do it when they come to the main event.
Oh, yes.
Not to call them out. I'm not trying to call them out. I'm just saying you can do it online. You got to do it in person now where the real money is going to be on the line. Let's take a look at the standings now at the end of our first cup here, at the end of our first week of our spring challenger series. You have forZe in first place with 100. DustTwo is 75, 50 for Lazarus, and 40 with Unity. Keep in mind, it was about 10-point difference between second and third place at the end of the winter series. So that's going to be a major factor coming into this. And forZe can be definitely happy. I'd say if they win like one more, then they can just, do decent in the rest. Not even play all of them. They'll still have a guaranteed spot into Sao Paulo, Brazil. Yeah,
as long as they win at least 2 and just keep consistently in the top 4, top 8 margin, depending on what random places they have.
To do that.
Yeah, they can definitely, they can say, well, their strategies play default and standard as much as they can, not give away anything. So it gives them more of that advantage at the offline finals. And right now, the only thing I can say is that now that they're in the qualified for NA Pro Series, they're going to show their strategies anyway in these early cups because they want to qualify for the LATAM Pro Series as well, which makes perfect sense here. But so far, forZe way too strong at this stage, especially in the online environment, and we'll have to see how things go next week to see if they can do it again.
Well, speaking of next week, that will do it for our show here live from Katowice, Poland. Thank you to Lethal and, of course, our production crew here able to put on the show for you guys at home. Remember, next week, same time, we'll be bringing you the European tournament as well as the North American Cup as well. So make sure to tune in for that one. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in 7 days.
2, 1.